light. I was like, something's in my head. Like, I was thinking someone was in my head.
No, there's nothing in your head, Amanda.
Hey. Hi guys, it's Amanda, your cutie of Carnage.
And I'm Jess Koresh, the destroyer of worlds.
Here on Channel
Sundown.
Today we're doing a review of 2019's The Shed.
The Shed.
The Shed. Directed by Frank Sabatella. Starring J.J. Warren, who plays Stan, Cody Castro as Dahmer, and Sophia Hoppenin as Roxy. And Sylvia Fallon-Hogan, who plays the sheriff. Or one of the police officers. I don't remember if she's the actual sheriff, but she's one of the cops.
I think she was the sheriff and the guy was her deputy.
Yeah, okay. Because I believe she was the sheriff. Yeah, she was the sheriff.
Was she from Saturday Night Live? Where do I recognize her from? She was the only person I recognized in the movie.
She's just one of those character actors that everyone's seen in everything and we know her, but then when you think about what she's in, you can't really come to grasp with it. But she's in everything. She's a character actress, and you kind of see her face in everything.
Yeah, she's one of the, I definitely know the face, but I wouldn't recognize the name.
Yeah.
If I saw her, when I see her face, like, oh, I know her.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah. The film's about this boy named Stan, and he lives with his grandfather, who is not the nicest of men. And he's going through a lot. He's going through stuff at school. He likes this girl who, you know, he has feelings for, and he's going through some tragedy, and he's going through a lot of stuff. And one day, he goes to his shed and realizes that there's something there. And he tries to, like, figure it out, and he tries to, like, capture it and keep it in there, and he tells his friend Dahmer about it. He's like, hey, you know, there's something in the shed, and his friend Dahmer's like, hey, let's use this. And of course, Stan's like, no, we can't, because it's wrong. And his other friend's like, no, we can. And chaos ensues, and the creature is in, spoiler alert, the shed.
The creature's in the shed.
The creature's in the shed. So yeah, a lot of stuff happens, and you kind of feel for the guy. At the same time, you kind of feel for his friend, but they both kind of collide different ideas, and yeah, pretty interesting. As you guys know, anytime you watch a film and, like, you have a best friend who is in the film and they're like, promise me you won't tell anybody, the friend's always like, I promise! And what happens? Things, find out things, people know about things, and they use it to their advantage. So, spoiler alert, things go crazy. Explaining the film just slightly, we're going to go into our pros and our cons. Jesse, your pros first, sir.
My first pro, and this will get back to being a con eventually, but my first pro is that it's kind of an original concept. It's not just like everything else that you've seen, you know, with the whole shed and the creature being there. And I also liked how it didn't necessarily jump right into the middle of the movie, but there's not a whole lot of, you know, he discovers this creature in the shed, and there's not like a lot of backstory. You don't know how, you know, it doesn't show you like this whole long story about how they got there or what it is or anything like that. It just kind of throws you into the action, you know what I mean? Like pretty quick into the movie, you get thrown into the action of like, holy crap, there's something in the shed and it's evil and whatever. So those were my pros. That I liked that it, I liked the way that it like just kind of kicked into the action, and then I liked that it was the original story and not something that I've seen 100 times. You know, it does have its faults, but like I said, it wasn't something that I've seen in movies a million times. You know, I mean, I don't know of any other movies where there's a evil creature in the shed. So
I'm sure there's probably a couple, but not that we can think off the top of our head like this one.
Yeah.
My first pro is going to be, I like the surroundings. I like the small town atmosphere and everything. It felt very, how can I say this? Because I said this was my con before in another film. But I liked the 80s feel to it. But it wasn't overly 80s film, and it's not an 80s film. so it didn't feel overly 80s, but it had kind of that 80s film.
Yeah.
My second pro is going to be, I liked how they didn't try to explain things overly. It was just like, hey, we're going to explain everything. No, you were in the character's point of view. You didn't know what was going on. You didn't understand what was happening. You didn't, because like it says, it goes right into it. It starts, you go right into it. Something's chasing you. You don't know what's going on. So I liked how they didn't overly explain everything. It was what it was. You experienced what you experienced. And they didn't try to like tag in there, you know, explaining things. So I like that because I like it when things are explained, but I don't like when things are fed to me. Because I'm kind of like, no!
Unless it's pizza.
And it does, I mean, it explains some things, but it doesn't overly, like, beat you on the top of the head. So, I liked that. My next pro is going to be, I liked how the kids were believable and likable. Like, usually they try to, like, the bullies were bullies, and, you know, you don't like them, they were assholes. And, like, take that back, there wasn't really bullies, there was just assholes and not assholes. Like, there was really no, because even when the bullies try to go after the boys, like, you know, Stan and stuff, they were just like, no, you're not going to do this, not going to happen. Like, his friend gets bullied and stuff, but the kids that were supposed to be likable were likable, but were kind of like, there was no good and bad. There was just, you know, kids being kids, because kids are assholes. You know, teenagers are assholes.
That's what I was going to say. Even the kids that are being that were getting bullied were kind of assholes in their own way.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
It's like, they're all assholes.
Exactly. So it was like, there was no, like, good and bad. There was just, like, assholes. Like, all of them. Yeah, teenagers.
Teenagers with problems.
Exactly. Because, you know, come to the ending, everything kind of comes to, you know, for a shown kind of deal. And yeah, the kids were likable, but they weren't too likable. It wasn't like, oh, one guy was it wasn't like one teenager was walking an old lady down the street and the other one was beating up, you know, pedestrians. Yeah, there was no, so it was believable. The kids were believable. And my last two pros are going to be, I really liked the practical effects feel to the film. There wasn't, I don't think maybe there was computer. I don't remember being computer. Like, you guys know my memory's not as good, and we saw this a few days ago. But I remember a lot of the practical feels. The practical feel of the film. It seemed very practical and very kind of creature-esque. And I really liked that. And also, things weren't really, like, shown. Like, it was shown, but it wasn't like, you know, a creature jumped out of the shed and it was Peter Eyes and, like, you know, tearing. No, it wasn't. It was very practical and had a very, very, like I said again, very 80s feel to it without being like, you know, hey, this is this. No, it was very practical and I liked it. And my last my last pro, we're not on cons yet. My last pro is going to be, it was funny. Yeah. It really was funny. And it wasn't even, the funniest parts were the friends talking. And just like that, like, there wasn't no, like, slapstick. It was really kind of like, what? And it just, some things really sarcastic. And, like, they're without really getting, there's one part, he's like, did you lock this? And she goes, I didn't know there was there to lock. And he goes, I told you go upstairs and lock. And she goes, I didn't know I was supposed to lock it. And that was, like, back and forth. It was like, they're arguing about, he told her to lock it. So they had, like, it just shows, like, the children and the teenagers, like, they're in a predicament of, you know, being attacked, and they're arguing about who said what. Yeah. Like, it's really kind of funny, because it's like, it doesn't matter who said it, but then he's just like, you didn't tell me that. Yeah, no, you didn't tell me that. Like, it was very funny. It was very funny how that went. So, yeah, so the comedy was there, practical effects. So, yeah, those were my pros.
It was the attic scene. She's like,
yeah.
You locked upstairs? She's like, yeah. He goes, lock the attic? The attic? She goes, I didn't know there was an attic.
Yeah.
You know, like, pretty funny.
Yeah.
Typical teenager.
Yeah.
Yeah. Funny.
It was funny. Now our cons. Jesse, what are your cons?
Well, it's really one con that kind of encompasses a lot of things, because as much as I get, like I said earlier, as much as I give it credit for being kind of an original story with, you know, the shed, and there was a lot that I did like about the movie, there were a lot of cliche, like a whole lot of cliches in this movie, like film cliches, like a lot of jump scares, a lot of the creature like appears behind you, you know, like the flash of that, and then the I don't know, just a lot of things in it, like the teenagers. I don't know. Like I said, it was an original movie, but it also relied heavily on cliches. So it's kind of confusing for me because at one point I want to give it all these points for originality, and like you said, practical effects. I love that. You're right about that. I don't remember any CGI in the movie whatsoever. But so it didn't rely on those film cliches. Like the creature wasn't walking backwards on its hand, like the hands or anything at that point. So that would be one con, is that there were a lot of cliches in it. And the other thing is, as much as I liked as much as I agree with you, and I liked the part that it didn't overly explain stuff, it got to a certain point where I kind of needed it to explain some stuff to me because I was kind of confused. Because I'm going to be honest, I left the room. I left the room for a minute because I'm really bad about that. Like I'll have a movie playing and I don't go out to pause it or whatever because I'm just going to go grab something to drink or something.
Oh yeah, it's annoying. Believe me, because like I'll be like, hey, we got to review this film. Let's watch it. And he'll get up and he'll run to his car and he'll come back in and he'll be like, what did you miss? I'm like, what I missed? I'm like, dude.
Yeah, and so the part I kind of missed was like it went from being like, there's a creature in the shed to like we're under attack. We're under attack. At the house.
Yeah. No spoilers. No spoilers.
Yeah. But I'm just like, okay. So wait a minute. I obviously missed something. So I'm sorry about that. But I don't feel like it could have explained all that in the short amount of time that I was absent.
Yeah.
So as much as I enjoyed like jumping into the action, I kind of wish that later in the movie that some things had been explained. What are your cons?
Well, my first con, this wasn't my first one, it's my second one, but I'm going to go ahead and jump into it because it's something Jesse said. There was a lot of cliches in the film, but it was kind of up and down because there are parts, like there's cliches in a horror film that are appreciated in a horror film. And it's just the way you kind of go about it. And so there were some parts where they used a cliche that was kind of interesting and funny, and there are other parts of the cliche you're like, okay, like, of course. Like, it wasn't like a bummer, it didn't like take the movie down, but you're kind of like, okay. So like there's ways of using a cliche and playing on it, especially with the whole feel of the film, but there's other parts where it felt kind of like dry and down, so. Yeah, so I agree with you on that one. So I just wanted to, that was one of the ones that I had as my cons too. My second con, however, is going to be there were too many dream sequences. There were way too many dream sequences. And I'm sorry, but like once in a while, like a dream sequence, you kind of have it. But I'm so sick of dream sequences. They're so I'm done with them. Like, they're so annoying. Like, I can't handle dream sequences. Like, it just, and I felt like there's too many. Because, like, some would be showed, all of a sudden he's like, oh! And you're like, what? Okay.
Was there one where there was a dream, or was there a dream sequence within a dream sequence?
Yes!
I always hate that when they wake up and they're like, huh, and then they're not really awake and then they wake up again.
Yeah.
Oh, God, I hate
so spoiler alert, guys, there's a dream sequence within a dream sequence. But yeah, I'm over dream sequences. So that was another thing, is like, I'm just so tired of dream sequences, and they're just not, they're not clever, they're not, The only time dream sequences are good when it's a Nightmare on Elm Street.
While you were talking, I thought of another con that I had for the movie.
What up?
You say what up? What up? Once you get to a point where you know what happens in the shed, it kind of gets predictable. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because you know what's going on in the shed, and you know what's going on with the people that are going into the shed. So after the first couple of times, you're like, okay, you're like, I know exactly what's going to happen. And they try to surprise you sometimes with it, but then you're like, okay, I know what's going to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they try to throw you off sometimes, but it's still the end result's the same. So it became kind of predictable at certain points.
Yeah, that was going to be one of my points too, is after a while the film kind of gets like predictable. It's really kind of like, okay, yeah, you kind of know what's going on and stuff. And that was mine. I said drowning with cliches. Like, I'm showing everyone else, I said drowning in cliches, like we said, drowning in cliches. And I made these notes before, okay, we did the review. So we just are agreeing today somehow. But another con of mine is, I'm not going to get into detail, of course, I'm not going to spoil the movie, But the ending, like, what? Like, it just, what? Like, I just, you know what I mean? Like, what? Like, I'm just, ugh. Anyways, yeah, so that was my cons. Can you think of any more that you can come up with?
No, but I just thought of something really funny that happened in the movie at the end, and I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, we don't want to spoil, but I know you're talking about. Yeah, yeah. It just yeah.
There's some funny parts in there. I don't even know if that
There
was
really are.
supposed to. I guess that was supposed to be. Was that supposed to be funny? I guess I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe
Anyway,
it was.
it was an interesting thing.
Yeah.
Either way, if it was supposed to be funny or not, it got me. I thought that was pretty interesting. But yeah, I agree with you on the end. Like a little disappointing.
So, our verdict, Jesse. What is your verdict for The Shed? I keep wanting to say In the Shed.
I hate to keep saying this, but it was like. It was. I was pleasantly surprised. I kind of liked it. I didn't love it, but I thought it was a fun movie. I mean, I don't know if I'd ever watch it again, but I'm not. I don't hate the fact that I watched it. So I would give it like, if we were doing like 5 stars, I'd give it like 3 out of 5.
Okay.
Not like, not the greatest movie ever, but it was a fun movie for like a low budget, kind of movie that was kind of under the radar. That I didn't even. Matter of fact, I didn't even know about till you told me to watch it.
Yeah.
But
that's what I do, guys. That's all I watch things.
Watch this. Send me a list of things to watch. But yeah, it wasn't too bad. It was enjoyable. I think people will like it. I mean, it's not going to win any awards or anything, but it wasn't awful.
My verdict is this film was suitable. I have to say I really liked it towards the beginning, I mean, the start of the beginning, I liked it. Towards the middle, I was really enjoying it. It was at the half marker point that I was kind of like, okay, like, alright, like, I really liked it up till then, so it was suitable. I mean, I don't think I'll, put it on, any list to be like, hey guys, watch this, but it was suitable. I'm not even gonna say liked. It was all right.
It's a fun horror movie to watch. Like
I don't hate it, but I don't love it. Like, it was suitable. I had a lot more. I was what's that word? I was looking forward to it being. I had a lot more.
Expectations?
Yes. I had higher expectations. Anyways, yeah, it was suitable. It wasn't... I don't know what to say about it. I don't love it. I don't hate it. I don't think anything of it. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. I don't think anything about it. Like, it's a movie. I don't love it. I don't hate it. It's there.
That's our review. It's a movie.
It's a movie. Like, it's not anything, it's not anything horrible. I'm not going to be like, don't watch it. But it's not going to be anything I'd be like, watch. It's kind of like, yeah.
I mean, if you've got 2 hours and you don't have anything else to watch, check it out. See what you think.
Alright, well that concludes our review of The Shed. If I can point right. The Shed. Guys, do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you love this movie? Do you hate this movie? Let us know. Comment below. And do not forget that we seek approval. So do not forget to like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. And disco sucks. So, there we go, guys. Stay tuned because we're going to be having a lot of reviews this week because it's the holiday season. Yes, indeed. And you guys, keep us tuned in. And until next time, bye.
Bye. It's my new wave. Trademark. Trademark wave. 3 times. And cut.
Sorry guys, my phone is going off right now. Hi Mom! Sorry guys, I had to answer my phone. It was important. So.
It was her agent.